musicians are taking advantage of.
Hmm.
So that's something that I'm trying to help people that I work with to get started. And consistent communication will not only bring new people to you, but it'll also keep people around.
So then I'm curious on your own projects and your own work because obviously you're a very busy person. You still have a still work in music and you're also having your own company. How do you approach your own time and focus and work-life balance? Like, do you have daily routines that you're doing, or scheduled times? How does that sound for you?
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, I kind of put together like what my ideal week would be like. I put together what my ideal week would look like. So I want to work on this at this time on this day every week and this on this time every week. And it took a few changes with current clients that I had to get to that schedule. But once I did, it really felt like I had some new type of freedom because I was in control of what I was doing. And now it's 5 months later, I'm not exactly following that ideal calendar anymore, but I feel like I have an even more ideal calendar for where I am now. So what I try to do is create my to-do list and schedules for the whole month.
Hmm.
And that way I'm not thinking day by day, like I have to get this done today. I have to get this done today. I figure out what I need to get done for the whole month, and then I can take it piece by piece and break it out over the week or over the days. And it's really helped me relax a lot more and not feel so stressed when I don't get something done one day because I know that overall I've got some time.
Yeah. I
As I guess as far as work-life balance, I think about that a lot. I don't know if anyone actually achieves that, and if they do, I'd like to talk to them. But I've discovered that when I do feel balanced,
Mhm.
that I take on something else. Like, oh, like I'm good to go, you know? Well, what else can I do now?
Mhm.
I'm feeling good. What else? What other project can I take on? And so that kind of seems to be what I do. So I don't know if anybody is ever in balance, and maybe that's okay.
Yeah, sure. I've noticed from chatting with people that I think it's like a very personal thing on what they feel is comfortable. But yeah, it sounds like you're right in that area. So with what you've done, packing up your bags and moving to Nashville, starting your own company, even transitioning from what you originally went to school for to what you're doing now, there had to have been times when you felt a little bit maybe uneasy or fearful. How do you approach those kind of feelings in your life, whether it's fear or uncertainty, and how do you push past that to move on to the next level?
Sure. And I mean, yes, fears, I don't think that ever goes away. I think the fears just turn into a new kind of fear. So when I first moved here, my fears were, where am I going to live? Where am I going to work? Is this going to work out? And I went to Starbucks every night and searched for roommates.
Hmm.
But now my fears are, am I doing the right things? Is this going to work out? So there's always going to be fears there. But I think if you work away at them one day at a time, little pieces, not little pieces, but little actions every day are going to help you get past that fear. And if you let that fear in, then it can defeat you. But I think what I do is just focus on what I have accomplished
Hmm.
and say, I can do this. I have done this. Um, and working alone every day, it is easy to let those fears in because I'm sitting in silence all day. But when I look at what I have done and I can say I've been in Nashville for 6 years. I started with nothing. I knew nobody. I
Hmm.
didn't even have a place to live. And here I am. I'm living in a house. I love my husband. We've got a great life together and I'm running a business. So I guess just thinking of the overall picture and not getting so stuck on like your one little fear about something,
Hmm.
and thinking of the overall picture and what you have accomplished and realizing that it'll be okay.
Yeah. So you touched on an interesting subject, and that's so you work from home,
Hmm.
and you said you work by yourself.
Yes.
So on the times when I've done that, I get really cabin feverish, and get really tired of being at home all the time. How do you work through that? Like, do you set times for yourself to get out into the community, to network? Are there groups you're a part of? Because I know that sometimes work can be very isolating. How do you break out of that isolation?
Sure. I'm an introvert, so working from home alone for me is perfect. Even though in artist management, I just worked with Denise, and it was the two of us. Um, this sounds so silly when I say it out loud, but like for me to get up, get dressed, like drive into work, that would take not energy, but it would just, I wake up with ideas and I'm ready to go. So now I can just get up and go. I don't have to look good for anybody. And I can just get started. And so I told you earlier that I was trying to wake up a little earlier. So now I get up, I get all my ideas out, I get going, and then I've got energy. And that might be the time where I do get dressed and go out for lunch, even if I'm just sitting by myself, just kind of surrounded by people.
Sure.
That's totally fine for me. And you asked about community, and that was something that I felt like I needed. So I started a community in November. So I guess it's been about 6 months now. I started a Facebook group called Music Biz Besties, and I just really needed a place to hang out online, I guess, with other people doing similar things, and so I could encourage people and they could find inspiration online, and just have a positive and safe space to ask questions and hang out. So I figured, maybe 30 people will be in my group, and we can just kind of have like a bigger kind of mastermind type conversations in the group. And by day 3 or 4, I had 300 people.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't something that just I felt that was missing. Everybody was like, this is perfect. I would need something like this in my life. And I just passed 1,000 members in my group, I think last week. So yeah, community is a huge part of every day now. So even if I'm not seeing people in person or talking to them in person, I'm talking to them online, and I'm getting to know them online and their music journeys. And it's turned into in-person meetups. So while I'm based in Nashville, the group is all over the place. So there have been meetups in London. There have been meetups in Toronto, in New York, in Orlando, in St. Louis. So that's a huge part of what I'm doing right now. It's just building a community and a tribe of people who need support, because sometimes it does get lonely working alone, or as a musician, you might have a team of people, but that you're the one musician, and sometimes it's nice to have other musicians to talk to, even if you aren't in a band with them or writing with them. So yeah, community is everything for me right now.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Congratulations on the success of your community. It sounds like a great and wonderful resource.
I think it is, and thank you.
Yeah. What would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
I've mentioned Denise a few times, and she's taught me so much, but I think the one thing, even if she never said it out loud, that I learned from her was to be honest. It's okay to not have all the answers, and if you don't, just admit it. And it's better to admit it than to try to fake your way through it and then dig yourself a hole. So I just learned from her to be honest, and that will get you far in life.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Katherine, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If the listeners would like to see more of your work and get a hold of you, what is the best way they can do that? Sure.
My website is designingtherow.com, and my handles across Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, all of them are at Designing the Row, and my community is musicbizbesties.com.
Great, and I will put links to many of those in the show notes so they can just click through.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Yuri.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Advance Your Art podcast. If you like this episode, please go into iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so that every single time I release a new episode, it will go directly to you without even thinking about it. If you're interested in hearing older episodes please go to advanceyourart.com, where you can find the catalog of everything I've done so far, as well as contact information and projects I'm working on. Thank you again, and have a great day.